All right, let's put the fighter jet decision to our MPs, along with Donald Trump's vow to rip up the Trans-Pacific Partnership between a dozen countries, including Canada. Stephen Verr is the Liberal chair of the Defense Committee. James Bazan, the Conservative defense critic. Nikki Ashton, an NDP MP of esteemed credentials all. Thank you all. Appreciate you coming in. James Bazan, I want to put it to you. The government says your government foot dragged its way to where we got to this terrible situation where we have to fill it in with an interim purchase. How do you plead?
Well, first of all, the whole idea of the capability gap is actually a credibility gap. There is no capability gap here. We know for a fact from the work that we did on this file, along with the reports that have come out from National Defence, that have come from the Defence Research and Development Canada organization, which is a Crown corporation, have all said that we only need 65 planes to meet all the requirements that we have under NATO and NORAD. When you look at the 77 CF-18s we have today, both the Chief of Defence Staff last week, along with National Defence in writing to committee this week to Mr. Fuhr, along with General Hood, who has clearly said that our CF-18s can fly to 2025. So this is going to waste billions of dollars, going to create a mixed interim fleet of aircraft that requires more training, more staffing, different parts, and because it's a different plane than our legacy CF-18s, and it's going to create all sorts of confusion. And instead, they should automatically go to a competition. We know that all the other fighter jets are now operational and combat operational. F-35s received in the Air Force their IOC this summer. The Marines received it last year. The Marines are going to be putting their F-35s into theater in January. So there's no reason to hold back on the decision, and let's get the right aircraft for the Air Force, for Canadian jobs, and also the best interest of the Canadian taxpayer.
Nikki, where's the NDP on this?
Well, we were up in the House today, and my colleague Randall Garrison made it clear. Sole sourcing is what we're seeing here, and that's the best way to get the worst price. I mean, really, not only will this come at a steep cost for taxpayers, the lack of transparency flies in the face of the commitments that the Liberals made during the election last year. We were promised real change compared to what we had from the previous government, and we're getting the opposite. And I think a number of Canadians are tuning into the fact. And obviously in difficult economic times are very concerned about an investment like this that's not being done the right way and that will come at great cost.
Wrong way, high price, no need. How do you plead on this,
well,
Stephen?
Let's talk about the reason. We do have a capability gap. The Chief of Defence Staff said that very clearly.
I heard him say he didn't.
No, he did. I've got it right here. You're welcome to look at it. I thought that might be an issue.
He couched it. We'd have to be at war.
In any event, the Minister and the Chief of Defence Staff have clearly said that we do have a capability gap. And when we talk about numbers, we have to look at the number of jets that are actually available. We have 77 airplanes. You have to look at the serviceability. Those airplanes are 30+ years old. They're getting older. So as they get older, less of them are available to us at any given time, right? And that, as we move forward 10 years, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. Had we just done nothing, like sit on our hands like the previous government did, trying to sole source an airplane, a choice 6 years ago, and then press the reset button that just was stuck down and nothing's happened, we would end up trying to fly the jets that we have till 2025. Although they may fly that, the availability of the jets that we actually have to use, not the ones that are in maintenance, not the ones that don't work, will get smaller and smaller as time goes on. If we just tried to upgrade them at the same time, that would put more stress on the available jets because they have to go in and get structural modifications done to them. So it's like changing the wheel on the car while you're driving the car. Do we have 77 jets? Yes, we do. Are they all available to do what we need to do? No. So if both those phones ring at the same time and we have to answer those phones, we can't deliver to both of our defense priorities at the same time. That is a Government of Canada decision. That is not a Royal Canadian Air Force decision. Their job is to manage it. It's only if the government wants them to do that.
Yeah, you seem to be disagreeing a bit, James.
Well,
on this.
Just yesterday, National Defence replied back to our National Defence Committee on questions about the CF-18s, and they said that all 77 CF-18s will fly until 2025. So we have time here to do the competition now, not 5 years from now, but now, and because all the work's been done. We had the industry experts come forward and review the process when we were government. They said that we're going the right direction. They have, right now what we have is the government, the Trudeau government, saying, like, look, the PMO thinks that they know what they're doing on fighter jets. They're ignoring the advice they're getting from National Defence, from the Royal Canadian Air Force, as well as from Public Works on how we move forward on this. Instead of looking at what is the best option for the Canadian taxpayer and what is the best aircraft for the Royal Canadian Air Force, we're getting with a stopgap measure of a retread airplane that will not deliver taxpayers any value at all.
Quick rebuttal.
Not true. Where we're at with keeping the current fleet flying, it's actually, if you drill down, it's an options analysis, and they have earmarked $400 million. So we don't even actually know if that is going to work. It probably will. It might be more or less. It's probably more than 400.
National Defense says it will work, Steve.
Well, but they haven't. They're in options analysis, James.
But they said that it will work. I take the word of the Royal Canadian Air Force. General Hood, who's
they have
the
every
commander.
They have confidence. They didn't say it will work. They have confidence it'll work. Is what they said. Those are the exact words.
And also, General Vance last week at committee, and you chair that committee, said when I asked about the capability gap, he said that was a false assumption.
It's an options. It's an options analysis, right? And even if we can get them out there, this is about available aircraft to us, and not all 77 are.
Nikki, last word to you on this issue before we go to the other one.
Sure.
Well, on both of their houses.
It's disconcerting, as I mentioned, to see the government move away from its commitment to, a competitive bid. And like I said, I mean, it's we're talking about a major price tag here, and Canadians certainly believed something different from this government, and this is the wrong time to make a decision like this.
Okay, I think this decision is going to have a lot to before it gets any.
Decision for 5 years yet.
That's right. Never mind. Yeah. I do want to talk about the other big ramification that came out today. Donald Trump, as we all know, came out with a video yesterday and said that Trans-Pacific Partnership, that's one of my first priorities as president on January 20th. The 21st, I'm going to scrawl cancel on top of it, and that's it. We did get a response today from the International Trade Minister. Here's Chrystia Freeland responding.
It is a fact, which I think everyone here is aware of, that the TPP agreement is so structured that this agreement can only come into force if 6 of the countries covering 85% of the GDP of the overall space ratify the agreement. What that means in practice is the TPP agreement, as currently structured and finalized, can only come into force if it is ratified by the United States.
Nikki, is it dead? Is the Trans-Pacific Partnership beyond help, and should we just let it die a peaceful death in the hands of Donald Trump?
Well, we've been saying it should die for some time, given the direction it's been going in, and owing to the fact that many Canadians have expressed real concerns. I mean, my colleague Tracy Ramsey and our team has been out across the country, and we're hearing from people in parts of the country that have, lost jobs as a result of trade agreements that have sold them out. We're hearing from people that are extremely anxious, given the the job situation right now and what something like the TPP would mean. And we've certainly been relaying these concerns to the House. In the House, and unfortunately it's clearly fallen on deaf ears, with the minister and the government. And so, we're obviously seeing the U.S., make its position very clear, and and Canada will have to deal with that. What we're saying is that we need a prime minister that's going to stand up for Canadian jobs in the context of difficult economic times, and we're simply not seeing that leadership.
James, I know the Conservatives have been pressuring the Prime Minister to say, get on with this deal. Is there any point without the United States signing on?
Well, look, we're hearing from all the other signatories on the TPP that they are prepared to move forward without the United States. We should as well. It presents a great opportunity for Canadians, for Canadian business, and creating more Canadian jobs. We know that it's worth over $15 billion in exports, and that will create almost $10 billion in growth in GDP for Canada. So we should be there, and we should force the United States to come back to the table. That would be real leadership, but this is something that you just can't walk away from. But the Liberals signed this back in February. We are calling upon them to follow through with their commitment and ratify this agreement so that we can do trade with all these other great countries rather than wait, which I think what the Liberals want to do is try to do business with communist China rather than trying to do work with all these other countries. That the hard work's been done. Let's just sign it and get it over with and move forward, and gives us a great opportunity and an advantage over the United States in those markets.
You're cuddling with the commies.
Surprise.
Well, I mean, as we learned in the election campaign, the NDP was against this before they even had a chance to look at it, so no change there. They don't support it, and they never did, even before they saw it. And I guess the minister made it very clear, we might not have an option. You know, Mr. Trump said a lot of things, and, you know, which things he enforces and which ones he doesn't. We don't know the answer to that. I mean, we're a trading nation. We believe in trade, and we want good trade deals that create jobs in Canada. So, but at the end of the day, based on what I know and what the minister said in the House today, if the way the deal's structured right now, if the United States ultimately decides, which they haven't done yet, not to go through with this, the way it's structured right now, it doesn't go.
That's true, but is there not an incumbency on the Canada to at least try and make this work?
Well,
is there not a plan B?
The minister didn't say she wasn't doing that, right? She just said that, listen, at the end of the day, the way it's structured, it will be, if the U.S. pulls a pin on it, it's over. And she didn't say she's not trying to make it work. As far as I know, she's trying to make it work.
Seems to me that she was behind it all the way, James. Maybe if there is another way to do it, she'll back up and try again.
Well, let's look at CETA. Everyone thought that, you know, that wasn't going to happen either.
She almost threw it under the bus.
No, she didn't.
And then didn't make any changes. It's the same agreement that we negotiated.
She got lots of accolades for that.
We negotiated this TPP deal. Liberals did the right thing and signed it in February. Let's now finalize it and get it on with the other partners.
And I'm very certain the minister's doing everything she can to move forward.
Well, we'll find out.
But the NDP will say, stop it. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. Thank you all. Appreciate you coming in.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you.